Hello and welcome to Best Picture Brainrot, a podcast series where three friends attempt the impossible, watching every single Best Picture winner in chronological order before the 100th Oscars and slowly losing our grip on reality.
Follow along as we give ourselves cinematic brain damage by watching every Best Picture in order from the first winner, Wings, to whatever the Academy picks in 2028.
This week on Best Picture Brainrot, we talk about the first ever movie awarded Best Picture, surprises, disappointments, hot takes, and plenty of brainrot.
We are your hosts, Adam,
Sarah,
and Drew.
So before we even get into the movies we're talking about, what is everyone's four favorites? I affectionately refer to myself the garbage disposal of film enjoyment. I am equally at home. I love Oscar movies, hence actually doing this, but I am equally at home watching bad horror movies. I love slashers, teen movies. I'll watch pretty much anything, but like horror is my comfort. I just love watching like a little bit of everything. And my four favorites, I would say, ones that I always go back to are Metropolis, Amadeus, Moonlight. I'm going to say 12 Angry Men.
Wow, good picks.
How many of those have you seen, Sarah?
I don't know. I think I've seen Moonlight. I know I've seen Moonlight, but also...
That's the only one that's like past 2015.
Yeah.
It's actually the only one past like 1980.
Yeah, no, following Adam on Letterboxd is really scary because you're like, wow, there's 3 new movies in the past hour that he's watched. You
And
don't even
all
know
of
how
them.
he's watched all of them. Like while working, while watching a TV show.
I legally do not watch movies while I work. I want to make that clear.
Okay. I can go next. I am very anti-pretentious when it comes to movies. I watch them casually. I just like movies that I think look cool or bring something out in me emotionally. I don't subscribe to like going super deep into like, oh, this director this or this director that, or this looks like a movie from this director and is inspired by this and the red door means that. It's like, I get it. Like, I know I could do that, but I just have no interest. Like, I just want to watch a movie and let my brain turn off and watch it.
Yet. You're not like that yet.
What do you mean?
That's why you're here, Sarah. That's why you're...
This is an intervention.
No, you're not changing me.
You're changing us.
I'm changing you guys.
We will be changed for good. Shout out Wicked 2 for good.
Shout out to Thea Rivo.
That's probably the only time Wicked's going to get brought up in the course of this podcast, right?
It was nominated for Best Picture. We'll talk about this in like, like 97 episodes.
2 years from now, we'll get to it.
What are your four favorites, Sarah?
Inglourious Bastards is my favorite movie of all time. I watched that as a kid, and I've seen it at least 15 plus times. The second one is When Harry Met Sally. That's a recent add to my four favorites. Super funny, just like my style of comedy, honestly. I just thought it was very, very funny and real and cool. And then next one is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. That's my second favorite movie of all time. Just a really fun one.
Specifically Volume 2.
Specifically Volume 2. The others come in pretty close, but like Volume 2 was...
Would you say it's representative of the whole series? Or is it specifically Volume 2 is in your top four?
That's that movie specifically.
Okay.
Volume 1 was fun. Volume 3 was really sad, but it was good. But Volume 2 just is all encompassing of the series. Forgetting my fourth one. You guys know what it is?
Kill Bill.
Oh.
Duh. But those are my four favorites.
Thank you, Sarah.
I don't know if my four favorites will necessarily reflect what it is that I seek out and enjoy, but in general, I guess I'm a little bit of a quality whore. I'm only going to watch, I'm not like Adam here who's going to watch, you know, whatever it is on, what is it, on Shudder. You know?
I love Shudder. I
He's
love
not-
Shudder. Shudder has some okay stuff. Hulu, if you catch me watching a Hulu horror movie, you know I've run out of options.
I don't stoop so low as Adam. I'm not going to watch something unless like 3 people have told me it's good or I've seen some sort of critical acclaim for it. I'm probably not going to watch it. I maybe have a little bit more of a filter. I think personally, I would say my favorite director is probably Sean Baker. I love American realism. Anything in that wheelhouse is generally the sort of thing that I appreciate. It will not be reflected at all in my 4 favorites, though. So from the top, I have Call Me By Your Name. That is probably the best in-theater experience I've ever had in my life. I literally can't watch that movie again because it was such a good experience that I own it on DVD. I'm too scared to watch it again. Jurassic Park, that's an easy one. I think that's just the best, most movie. I would argue it's a movie about movies. I could go on about that one, and I've seen it a million times. And then I have The Naked Gun, the original one with Leslie Nielsen. That's probably the best comedy of all time. Best, like, bar for bar, beat for beat, minute for minute, like most, jokes per pound kind of movie that's out there. And my fourth, here's a wild card, Harmony Korine's Spring Breakers.
I knew it. I mean, we should have seen that.
I will not elaborate. I
We
will
don't
not
want you
expound.
Nor should you.
Yeah, nor should we. Don't want you to elaborate.
No, when we
Anyone
get
wants
to
elaborate.
2013, what is that, Argo or something?
Yes.
I will make a strong case against
When we ask
Argo.
what should have won
Yeah.
in Best Picture this year, emphatically.
That one's a little bit of a swing, but like I can't not keep it up there. It invokes too much discussion.
I need to watch it with you.
Yes.
See it through your eyes.
Yeah, exactly. No one that I follow on Letterboxd agrees with me except for Charlie XCX. So that says something.
It's a ringing endorsement. So, what are we doing here? We're talking about the Best Picture winners, and we're starting chronologically, which means we are going all the way back to just under 100 years ago. And I am here to give you a little bit of historical context. So, lights up, exterior, Hollywood, California, 1927. Moving pictures had advanced significantly at this point, and the world was just over 30 years removed from thinking a train was actually going to come through a screen and hit them. This was sometime after World War I, but because of that disruption, America had firmly taken the crown from Europe as the world capital of the film industry. In fact, at this time, and this was shocking to me, the output in America alone was over 500 feature-length films per year in 1927. So naturally, the production of these were mostly centralized in Hollywood. We hadn't yet discovered such far-flung foreign locales such as Atlanta or Toronto, nor had we discovered tax credits. It was also a time where the industry was figuring out what it was, and moving so quickly it experienced some significant growing pains. Criticism about content from churches, the government, even parent-teacher associations. Unionism. At the time, Los Angeles had yet to shed its Wild West mentality and was known as a haven for non-union employment. But the quick growth of the film industry and the people it employed threatened that due to the lack of centralization. And finally, technology. With the first ever talkie, The Jazz Singer, coming out this year, the demand to democratize technical advancements was high in the budding studio system. All said, this led to a group of plucky industry titans getting together and saying, hey, let's get this under control. Initially proposed, as many things are, at a Santa Monica beach house dinner hosted by Louis Mayer, the head of Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, a.k.a. MGM, a.k.a. the studio that would ultimately give us cinematic masterpiece Red One 97 years after this date. Mayer and his compatriots acted quickly, organizing a dinner at the Ambassador Hotel on January 11th, 1927. 36 representatives from all creative branches of the budding film industry to pitch the vision of a unified governing body. From there, things moved quickly. The first officers of the body were elected in March. Most notably, there was Douglas Fairbanks as president and Fred Niblo as vice president, known primarily for their work on The Mark of Zorro. Fairbanks was the titular Zorro and Niblo directed, which kind of feels like if Jason Statham was the Academy president and David Ayer was his VP. To which I say, make it happen, Hollywood. With their goals and a mandate in hand, the Academy set out in full force to attempt to solve industry-wide problems, and they did. In their first year of incorporation, they dealt with labor negotiations, attempted to improve the public perception of the industry with donations, and figured out logistical challenges such as where their office space would be located. During that time, a small subcommittee was also made in the Academy, specifically for awards. One of many, and definitely not one that was given much importance at the time. It was chaired by Cedric Gibbons, a famed production designer who would design the statuette and go on to win 11 Oscars in what feels like a stunning conflict of interest. The idea of actually presenting awards wasn't even seriously considered until a year after the Academy's founding. But they agreed on 12 categories to give awards to for movies that were released between August 1st, 1927 and July 31st, 1928. A committee narrowed down a shortlist, and the ultimate decision makers were only a council of 5. representing each branch of the Academy: directors, producers, actors, writers, and technicians. So only 5 guys had made the decision onto what to award for these first Academy Awards. It was May 16th, 1929 that the first Academy Awards took place. Black tie dinner at the Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel. Curiously, the decisions on the winners and the press announcement had taken place 3 months earlier, so the dinner itself was more of a celebration and a ceremony to hand off the physical awards. Around 200 people were in attendance, a mix of Academy members and their families. As you may have figured out by now, the winner of Best Picture was Wings, though there was a second winner for Unique and Artistic Picture, which went to the movie Songrise, A Song of Two Humans. Categories looked a bit different than they do today, with directing being split across comedy and dramatic pictures, and acting awards considering all movies that the actor had been in during the qualifying period. Janet Gaynor, who won Best Actress, had 3 credits. Wings, though, has endured as being called the original Best Picture winner. So, Sarah, tell us a little bit about Wings.
Okay, so Wings is basically a World War I veterans reunion. The director, William A. Wellman, was a real combat pilot for the French Foreign Legion, nicknamed Wild Bill. So he basically treated the set less like Hollywood and more like a boot camp, insisting on real planes, real stunts, and real danger. One of the leads, Richard Arlen, had flown in World War I too. That's World War I as well. Not World War I II, as in World War I III, World War I plus
that was the initial name for World War II, was World War I.
World War I sequel.
So yes, World War I. Even the screenwriter had aviation experience, so they've all been shot at. They continued to be shot at in the movie. Everyone behind the camera knew exactly how terrifying aerial combat was, and everyone in front of it was just trying to keep up. Basically, Wings looks intense because it was made by a bunch of guys who survived the war. About 300 pilots were involved in the making of this film, including pilots and planes of the United States Army Corps, which were brought in for filming to provide assistance and supervision. And to get into the director, William A. Wellman, he was a real World War I aviator and notorious Hollywood hellraiser, which is exactly why Paramount trusted him with Wings. In the war, he was shot down, survived, and later trained U.S. Army Air Corps pilots. Wellman ran Wings like a military operation. Everything was real, massive formations, real danger, and he was flying in planes himself. And then there were the writers, John Monk Saunders. Sorry, man, if I mispronounce your name.
I think he's going to be really mad when he hears this podcast.
Yeah, I think so. From Beyond. He's credited with story. Hope Loring is screenplay. Louis D. Lighton is screenplay. Julian Johnson is the titles. And then some guy named Byron Morgan is credited with story ideas on IMDb. Which I've never heard of just being credited with story ideas.
That's like a general thing. It's like how you came up with the general frame of it, but you didn't necessarily write the script. I'm going to shout her out again. Letterboxd celebrity Charlie XCX in her newest movie. She has the story by credit for the moment, but then someone else writes the real script because it's her idea, but someone else actually puts it to paper, you know?
Yeah. I'm going to continue now. Mary Preston is played by Clara Bow. Taylor Swift wrote a song about her in her 2024 album, Tortured Poets Department. She was a working class Brooklyn kid who brute forced her way into Hollywood and became the face of 1920s modern femininity. She was sexy, funny, fearless, and super alive on camera. And what set her apart was, like I said, how modern she felt on screen. She wasn't as poised during her silent film acting. She was more spontaneous. She was magnetic. She was always perfectly suited for flapper roles. So she came like the branded it girl, like a Cinderella figure who's has like working class roots, cheap dresses, Coney Island dates, like hustle and heart were central to her appeal. But that branding came at a cost. When she did Wings, she played the girl next door in a men in war movie. She knew she didn't really have the face for that and that like that wasn't her thing, but she did it anyway. She basically called herself the whipped cream on top of the pie. Off screen, she was a wild child, open dating life, gossip, all that stuff. So when she did Wings, it was like she was doing something that was a little more mainstream and outside of what she would normally do.
So she was like an art girl.
She was, yeah, exactly. Her refusal to kind of, put herself in a box combined with Hollywood's classic snobbery. She kind of was socially sidelined despite being a top box office draw, and she was treated as too lower class and too unpolished and often felt As she said herself, she's often felt more at home with crew members than like with fellow actors on set.
Okay, tell us about the men. I want to hear about the men, Sarah.
Okay.
The men are on the poster.
I guess I'll talk about Charles Buddy Rogers. No, okay, so Charles Buddy Rogers, he plays Jack Powell. This man, while Clara Bow was like the it girl, this guy was known as like America's boyfriend. He was most popular for Wings, where his clean cut, earnest energy helped cement him, as I said, America's sweetheart, America's boyfriend. After Wings, and perhaps feeling a little inspired, he served during World War II in the United States Navy as a fight training instructor, helping prepare real pilots for combat. He has some juicy tea that's not as wholesome as the image that's as suggested. He was married to Hollywood royalty Mary Pickford, but he was reportedly bisexual and allegedly involved with Jean Raymond, who was married to Jeanette MacDonald. That marriage itself was reportedly arranged by Louis B. Mayer of Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer to stop MacDonald from marrying her frequent co-star, Nelson Eddy, which Mayer feared would tank her lucrative box office pairing despite MacDonald allegedly having an affair with Eddy anyway. The drama peaked when, on their honeymoon, MacDonald reportedly caught Raymond in an embrace with Rogers. Rogers is now buried at Forest Lawn Cemetery in Riverside.
Thank you. Thank you for giving us this final resting place.
So respects.
It's funny, Samuel Mayer, we talked about him. He was the one who originally pitched the idea of the Academy at his Santa Monica dinner. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it makes sense. The whole thing was all just like, 100 people back then. Mary Pickford, even, she was, I think, an original member of the Academy, too. Mm-hmm. Now, tell us about the other
dude.
Yeah.
Richard Arlen. He played David Armstrong. He was known as the All-American Action Star, authentically of the sky. He actually served as a pilot in the Royal Flying Corps during World War I. Wings, 1927, became the defining high point of a massive career, nearly 250 films, cementing him as a dependable, all-American action star. Unlike his co-stars, Arlen's life reads as very steady rather than chaotic. He married actress Jabina Ralston, whom he met on Wings. She plays Sylvia. And aviation remained a through line during World War II. He taught as a U.S. Army Air Force's flight instructor, essentially turning his screen persona into a real-world job. And years later, he became a familiar TV presence, even revisiting Wings lore by playing himself on Petticoat Junction in an episode literally titled Wings, alongside Charles Buddy Rogers.
What did you learn about Herman Schwimm?
Oh, I was about to get to him.
Yes, good.
I was about to get to him.
Okay,
I love
thank
him.
goodness.
I love
Spoiler
him.
alert,
Yeah.
my favorite character.
We're like, who gives a rat's ass about the main people? His name's I'm butchering all these people's names, you guys. Brond.
Okay.
I don't know.
Some European.
Yeah. Comedian turned actor. He was a vaudeville comedian whose exaggerated Swedish immigrant persona made him one of early Hollywood's most recognizable sound era comedians. So he was able to adapt to sound. He was born in Philadelphia and educated at the University of Pennsylvania. He came up through vaudeville in the 1910s, doing dialect comedy, pivoting from a German character to his signature good-natured, simple Swede when anti-German sentiment spiked during World War I. That accent, paired with catchphrases like "Yumpin' Yemeni," became his entire brand. He was considered one of the most popular comedians in America. When studios decided he couldn't anchor expensive prestige films, he pivoted smoothly into B-picture shorts and supporting roles.
Good for him. That's the dream, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's like the
Drew doesn't think it's the
Borg
dream.
or like the Yakov Smirnov, basically.
So yeah, that's like overview cast.
That's the crew.
Production.
Nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
Well, this is fundamentally, as we've kind of discussed, a war movie. The war is intrinsically part of this story, part of this idea. So I think it'll be good to zoom out a little bit, kind of see, little information about the war, but also what was the world, the history like at the time. Because I think, these Best Picture winners, they capture a zeitgeist, they capture this moment. So Drew, tell us a little bit about, what the world was like in 1927.
Well, I'm going to start off with a question.
Us?
I'm going to go full AP US history
I was about to
teacher
say
on
this
you
was like
all.
a history teacher thing.
I want to ask, why do we talk about history when we talk about movies? I don't want you to answer that. Don't worry.
Oh my God, that's like actually what a professor would say. I don't actually want you to answer that. Just think about it.
You did. I was ready.
But seriously, obviously movies are stories, and stories are a reflection of not only the world around us, but the world that has informed us. Many of the Best Picture winners that we'll see are often reflections of the world that the directors or the actors or people involved, you'll see it is often something that these people grew up or were steeped in. You'll see pictures like Platoon, for example, based off of Oliver Stone's experience in Vietnam is a pretty prime example of that. This is absolutely same sort of situation. You're about 10 years out from World War I, and we're looking at the experiences of pilots and their time in the war and how we would look back on a war like that 10 years out, maybe with a little bit of less of a, we're in the weeds, it's gruesome, and looking back more at the heroism and the legacy of that war.
We also just didn't, like, there was less exposure to the bad parts, right? Like World War One, like it wasn't until...
Well, especially in America. America was
Right.
not nearly directly
Yeah.
involved in this. For them, they're not necessarily, and I'll get into this with the history, is they're not like Europe who are really feeling the after effects of World War. But either way, whether a story is fictional or rooted in history itself, the historical context of not only the filmmakers, but the viewers plays a massive role in what we deem to be a great movie, or dare I say, an important movie.
No.
I mean, look, we're talking about rewards and prestige and foofy sort of like, you know, like
We're talking about awarding
patting
art.
ourselves on the back. Like, this is stuff that is absolutely taken into account. Think of how many, you know, great movies or award-winning movies are about World War II alone. These sorts of things are absolutely play into what we deem to be worthy of an award. So let's get into some of the actual history. I'm mostly going to talk about Europe in the context here because we're talking about World War I. We're talking about wings. We're talking about the Great War. This was the first truly industrial war. You're talking tanks, chemical warfare, and of course, air warfare are introduced. And it's a meat grinder, you know, this conflict in Europe. For America, they're a little less involved. They don't necessarily experience the effects of this. But when you're talking about the post-war economies, you're looking at places like Germany, for example. It does experience a little bit of prosperity after World War I with the Weimar Republic, a time of great prosperity. It's sort of like the Roaring Twenties German style. But they do, by 1929, you're really starting to see the effects of the Great Depression, which happens later this year. This is only a few months, I'd say, like 5 months out from the first Oscars. You have the Great Depression in America, and that does have its effects on the economies in Europe. And for Germany specifically, you're looking at mass employment of up to 3 million people. And this effectively sets the stage for the collapse of the Weimar Republic and the rise of perhaps the greatest movie villains of all time, Nazis. In the same year, I want to note this too, just so you understand this is not just happening in Germany, but across Europe. The fascist party of Italy is taking complete control this time. We're deep in the throes of Mussolini. They've taken full control of the education system at this point. They have completely begun the indoctrination process. They are teaching children that they owe as much loyalty to fascism as they do God. The Kingdom of Italy, specifically in 1929, signed the Lateran Treaty with the Holy See, which established the Vatican City as a sovereign state. That's probably one of the most important things that happened on the world stage at this time because it gave Italy some serious diplomatic goodwill. It made them seem legitimate in the eyes of the rest of the world. Some quick other things that are probably worth noting. In 1929, this is the year of the Geneva Convention. You're looking at people, they're finally taking time to reflect and look back on World War I and the experiences of prisoners of war. They're looking back and they're seeing the horror of mechanical meat grinder style warfare. And this does help establish the rules that would later be used for POW treatment and just general rules of engagement come World War II, which again is worth noting. I mean, again, you're talking about the stories and the experiences of people, and you'll see that many movies as we go on are about that experience, specifically with war movies. I mean, there's going to be I'd say a quarter of these movies are war movies. To bring it quickly to America, you're looking at the Roaring Twenties, you're looking at the Great Depression. That's really only interesting to note because think about the context of award shows nowadays and how they're viewed by the American public. They're viewed as a stage for opulence, a stage for the elite to pat each other on the back. And what's interesting is this all happens basically in the tail end of that, that period of prosperity. And you're going right in a matter of months into the Great Depression. And so the fact that this sort of thing, continued to exist and it's continued for so many decades is interesting to at least note the context that you are right there on the cusp of prosperity into perhaps the greatest, literally the greatest depression.
Totally. And the first Oscars weren't like a huge affair. Like I said, they released the winners to the press a few months earlier. They had a dinner to hear your awards.
Exactly.
And it was the actual ceremony itself outside of the dinner took like 15 minutes to read the winners. So
it's a very modest sort of thing, but you think about it now. Anyways, I could go on about the historical context here, but this is a movie podcast, so I'm going to throw it back to the others.
Wings tells the story of two young men from the same small American town, Jack Powell and David Armstrong, who both enlist as fighter pilots in World War I. David Armstrong comes from a rich family. Jack Powell comes from a regular family. But before leaving, they are connected to two women back home. Jack is infatuated with Sylvia, who actually loves David, while Jack's neighbor, Mary, secretly loves Jack. Overseas, Jack and David train together, become close friends, and fly dangerous combat missions over France. As the war escalates, Jack becomes a celebrated ace pilot, but during a chaotic battle, he unknowingly shoots down an enemy plane piloted by his friend David, who had taken off in a captured German aircraft. David dies in Jack's arms after forgiving him. And then after the war, Jack returns home, changed by the loss, reconciles with David's family, and finally recognizes Mary's devotion to him, which miss me with that kind of relationship, but we'll talk about that later.
You miss like the whole middle. We'll talk about that whole middle section.
Okay, yeah.
Where with Mary meeting him in Europe.
Oh, that
which
was
is
crazy.
Crazy.
It was crazy.
Also, I love that you said that Mary secretly loved Jack, because if that's the case, remind me to never entrust that woman with a secret.
Oh my God. Yeah, wait, why did I say that? I guess it's like a secret it's just like only she knows. Like she's not flaunting it to anybody.
Yeah, just the world.
Like us, we know.
Yeah, but also like, girl.
I'm like, girl.
Have some self-respect.
Have some self-respect. Like, what are you doing?
We'll get into that. Yeah, as someone who's like the least cinephile, I think it would be cool to hear your thoughts on this because it's also silent, right? It's the only movie to win Best Picture that's a silent film. Yeah.
Yeah. So from my perspective, this is a story about Javid. Jack and David. That's their ship name.
Okay.
This was from Life Without Bros to Hoes Before Bros to Bros Before Hoes, back to Hoes Before Bros to Enemies Before Bros. From strangers to enemies to friends to frenemies to enemies to lovers. That to me is the story of David and Jack.
And you like that?
I liked it.
And that's the pod.
That's the pod. I don't think we need to say anything else about Wings.
Bros before hoes, hoes before. In my opinion, it's hoes before bros, but like that's.
Yeah. Like, do you want to see you want to see the gender swap?
Yeah, I do. But I also think like if you're a bro, then it should be hoes before bros. Unless that hoe crazy, which Mary kind of was.
Honestly,
like that was
so real, so real. I remember before we started this movie, we about to watch it, pulled it up. It's like, oh my gosh, 2 hours and 20 minutes. Like, this is crazy. I didn't even know they made movies that long back then. I didn't know they had made film like that.
I don't know. It is like, for some reason, there's a restoration of this that is 2 hours and 20 minutes. There's a much shorter, like the actual one that I believe was screened back then is significantly shorter by almost like 40 minutes.
Really?
So I'm actually very curious what doesn't exist in that cut. I have a guess.
You have a guess?
I have a guess. But
I would be very curious. But like I said, it's daunting when you see the runtime and it's like, it's silent. And it's like, oh my gosh, is this just going to be like tough to get through? But I was pretty locked in, surprisingly. I really enjoyed the story. I thought it was really engaging. The technical stuff was absolutely stunning. The whole time I was just like, how did they do this? And then on top of that, they had a pretty solid story. I liked the characters. It had pretty solid payoff with things like, oh, he forgot his lucky charm. And then, that ultimately is his downfall, which is a very basic story point, but it also is kind of giving you, the watcher, a payoff for something that you saw or noticed earlier, which I think is generally the mark of pretty solid storytelling. So had a lot of those hallmarks, really invested in the characters, mostly like the main character. We'll talk more about the side stories, but the main story was super engaging. And oh man, at the end, when you know what's gonna happen, you see David, he gets in the German plane, and Jack is going on the warpath. You know what's gonna happen. No, I don't want it to, but you know it has to. So I found it very satisfying in a lot of ways. So it was very, very pleasantly surprised by how much I enjoyed this movie. We'll hold my actual rating though for later.
Ooh, cliffhanger.
No, this movie's very good. I will say you get into an hour and you go, okay, how many times is this piano track going to loop?
Literally. Yeah.
And we learned the piano track was live,
so
like in contemporarily.
As you would for most movies of that time, you would actually have someone playing the piano in the room of the theater. I believe for this restoration, they basically chose some sort of track, one that was basic Muzak or whatever, I don't know, or just like, let's throw that underneath there, probably true to what would probably be being played at that time. But you have to imagine, if this was playing, even if it was the shorter version, if this is playing for like almost 2 hours, even less than that, like 2 hours of a guy playing piano, like that's a marathon, like just for the piano player. But yeah, and overall this movie is surprisingly good. With that, and we were both like, I don't know if I'm gonna like this. I'm probably gonna be on my phone a lot. And you're engaged. I mean, it kind of has everything that you could want in a movie, almost to a fault, where it's like there's action.
Like, this is a movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
This is a real go to the theater kind of movie. It's got action, it's got comedy, it's got drama, it's got romance, it's got weird little side quests, it's got weird little Swedish guys that just exist to make you laugh. It really does have everything but the kitchen sink thrown at it. For that reason alone, it's worth checking out. If you're even casually interested, see how long you can make it. And honestly, you might surprise yourself.
I think you would surprise yourself. I would never watch a movie like this unless it was like...
How many silent movies have you seen in your lifetime?
I tried once and I
Do you remember what it
couldn't
was?
stand it. No, but they were just dancing and skipping around, and I was like, I cannot do this. They're gonna hate me.
That was it? They were dancing and skipping
It might have been
around.
Charlie Chaplin. Everyone's gonna hate me. But I was just like, I literally can't watch this crap. But I was really surprised by this. I loved it. It was so cool. It was honestly way cooler than so many of the movies you see. I was thinking about like Top Gun Maverick, and I'm like, ew. This movie was all the practical effects, everything. It was just really detailed, and I just have a lot of respect for everybody who
in
made this.
1920, like in the 1920s,
Yeah.
like doing this is wild.
Insane.
And those death traps,
Oh my gosh.
and they
Yeah.
like flew the plane.
Oh, yes. The director had his camera and was in the back of a plane. It was wild.
It was terrifying. There's definitely an alternate universe where this movie never got made because the director went down in a flaming
I'd be
accident.
very curious to see the death count on this movie.
This was shot in San Antonio, which, more lawless, I guess. Although LA, I think at that time was also kind of crazy. But I was surprised I was actually very surprised this was not shot in Los Angeles. I assumed every
Wait,
movie.
was it not?
No, it was shot in San Antonio. I just thought everything was shot in Los Angeles because they didn't have the infrastructure or the technology. But I guess they were 30 years in to mobile cameras. Like, clearly mobile cameras existed. You could shoot anywhere. You're in the sky.
I will say the one thing I was surprised about was how funny the film is. Like, I normally am like, what I find funny goes past like maybe 80s, 70s. That's as far back as I'll go to be like, oh, this is funny. Because nothing was funny in the 50s. Like, nothing was fun. Nothing was funny. I'm just like, whatever. But in the
You say that now, but I feel like you're going to have the same experience as we watch all of these best
okay,
pictures.
whatever. I'll evolve over the podcast. And my taste is evolving. Well, whatever. But no, I was really surprised by how funny it was. Like, Herman Schwimp just getting his shit rocked the whole time. Him having an American flag tattoo to like prove
That like wiggled.
that like wiggled super weird too.
Yeah.
Like it was
waving
jello.
flag. That's what they're
It was
going
waving.
for.
Oh no, for sure. It was just funny that they were just like, all right, and like wiggle the frame. a little
There's
bit.
a PA off screen slapping his bicep. To
You don't think they did that in post?
no.
But okay, for example, at the beginning of the movie,
Yes.
when Mary gives her photo to Jack, and it's just this.
It was like a bad picture.
It's a bad picture.
Yeah.
I'm like, Mary, let's have a conversation about thirst traps.
This is 1927. It took probably a half hour to take one photo.
Okay, no,
That's actually such a great point. That's like a candid picture. Like,
Yeah.
how, like did you plan it?
You had all, well, You didn't have a second chance. You couldn't go and take like let's do a funny
That's
one.
not true. Sylvia's, she looked great.
Well, yeah, because she was rich.
Well, I wasn't rich and I had great thirst
That's
traps.
probably
That's
the
not
one-
an excuse. Mary would have loved iPhone self-timer, and she should have, if she were alive in this day, it should have been Instagram story, better angle, not hunching her back. I loved her though. I
looks
loved
great.
her.
She looks great.
Let's not rip her apart.
I'm not ripping her apart. I'm literally just talking about the photo.
We
like,
support
I
women
love-
on this pod.
Yeah,
so,
like I loved her as an actor. I thought she was magnetic. I'm just saying her specific trap that she sent to Jack.
I thought she was good in the role. I don't know why the role existed in the movie. It felt like, I think you kind of covered it a little bit. She didn't really fit in. It kind of felt like she was such a big star that they wanted to put her in and make that like selling point, even though the meat of the story, the really interesting part, is really about the two men.
It reminded me of Florence Pugh in Oppenheimer. I was like, I know she's a part of the story, but there was just zero character. It just pissed me off. Like she was just like there.
Famously poorly written character.
Yes,
Well,
like
yeah, Adam and I talked kind of briefly about this when we were watching, and this is a time too where you don't have specific genre movies yet. You don't have the idea of from this movie you expect this. You're really just trying to get butts in seats. So many of these movies are trying to pack as much as possible in terms of emotions and stars. It's a business decision is what they're doing. This is what we have to work with within the studio. Let's put it all in here and find a way to make it work. There's no, oh, I have this very specific experience or story I want to tell, and it has to be told exactly this way. It's like, well, we've got a contract, and we need to put Clara Bow in here. And that's why you probably have all these writing credits that Sarah's pointing out. So you're trying to make something work here that's going to hit all the quadrants, really.
Yeah.
I just had a thought. Going back to the piano thing. Rewind. That is almost like today's version, right, of putting Subway Surfers on half of a TikTok. Like to keep you engaged.
Are you saying that they had brain rot in the 20s?
Of course they had brain rot in the 20s.
They hadn't diagnosed it yet. They didn't have the vocabulary.
No, mental health awareness wasn't. They didn't have time for that.
So sad.
So sad. Anyway. Just the characters in general. David had so much aura.
I know. I really
Jack
liked his. Jack was like.
He was annoying as
Jack
fuck.
was a bum. Yeah.
Him and like the bubbles. There was a part where he's
bubbles.
visiting Paris and he's drunk off his ass and he just keeps seeing bubbles come out of champagne and everywhere he sees bubbles and it's just like this dude's annoying.
Well, I mean, he was off his ride. It was part of the scene as he was just so because the thrust of that scene is that. And I'm curious, Drew, if this is the one that you think that was added, because it really is 40 extra minutes of weird fluff. So what happens is Mary, so two boys, they're in Europe, they're aces, they're flying around, shooting down Germans. Mary is there in the capacity of being a nurse or a transport person. She's a civilian kind of supporting the war effort. She realizes that Jack is very close and she's, unclear if she's actually there to specifically chase after him, but we can assume that maybe a little bit. But she goes to Paris to follow him and, probably confess her love or whatever. And she finds him after he had this huge victory over a German dogfighter shot them, this huge plane, got the war hero medallion, all that. He's just getting absolutely plastered at what I assume is a brothel in Paris. And he's just so far gone that the main plot point of this is that he doesn't recognize that this is Mary. And she goes through so much. She goes to the madame of the brothel and she puts her out of her combat fatigues and into a sparkly dress. And she goes to flirt and seduce him. And then they go back to the room and he just passes out onto a bed. Then in the end, he's like, Mary, there was one night with someone and I don't want to talk about it. And she's like, what happened in Paris is the past. We only have to think about the future, even though it was her, which is crazy.
That whole 40 minutes is one of the part that I thought probably got cut.
Yeah.
Or wasn't there originally. It is hilarious. It does feel like a farce episode from MASH where it's we're all on
The men
leave.
are on leave, yeah.
Yeah, the men are on leave and we're getting into hijinks. It's such a departure from the rest of the movie, the real story between the two fellas here. And it does exist in the end, but it's like so
They
drawn
tack it
out.
on. It didn't need to be there. Like, you don't need that beat at the end.
Someone found out how to make bubbles appear on film. And they were like, let's use this.
Well, you make a
As
great
much as
point
possible.
because from a story perspective, I think that whole sequence is super out of place. There are some really cool technical aspects that are shown off in that.
Yeah.
It opens, and I'd seen this before, but they have this dolly zoom that goes over the tables of all these people. All the people are talking, and it just looks really cool. It's like how they were hanging the camera over the table clearly, and it's just a really cool rolling shot that you don't see anything like
Eat
that.
your heart out, Euphoria. Like,
Yeah. The camera was cool. And then the bubble stuff, I think, as kind of hokey as it is when we were watching it, we're like, wow, how did they achieve that? It is really cool looking. And for that time, probably very impressive.
they have a similar effect too with a lot of the dogfights where you see, I don't know if they take a crayon or wax or something, but they've got a spark of color on the otherwise black and white film where you've got fire coming from a tail spinning, plane and things like that. That honestly, I was watching that. I was like, that's, from an artistic standpoint, it's very interesting. And a technical standpoint, it was like, you could tell it was like, that's a frame by frame, painted in sort of thing. At a technical level, it is something that's like, yeah, why not show it off? Again, it's while we're already doing the farce and the comedy elements, let's also show some technical elements, and get some people,
Sarah, what did
Wow.
you think of Paris?
Like the
The scene. That
scene.
whole middle scene.
I was annoyed the whole time. Everybody was pissing me off. Jack is just mid, and these girls are fighting over him, and Mary's obsessed with him, and she's annoying me because she's just desperate, and she's literally pulling him away from the French girl, and I'm just getting annoyed at that. It's just like, why are you doing this? Why? There's no need. She just started to creep me out when she was in his room and cuddling his head while he was passed out drunk, and then she was undressing, and I was just like, girl, what are you
Which was
doing?
crazy. I mean, the fact that this had a very, very brief flash of nudity, I was
shocked.
I was shook.
I was like, wait, what?
it is pre-Hays Code, this movie. I mean, you do see bloodied soldiers.
The amount of blood, someone getting shot in the plane and just spitting and spurting blood. This is wild that they were showing this. I mean, you assume in the 20s, everyone was Puritan, chaste, all that, but that's
hardly.
not true.
I mean, one thing I didn't know, even from a historical perspective, this is the Prohibition era. This is
That's a good point.
things are tamped down at a government level, but everyone is sort of rebelling against that. And
Well, it probably makes sense in the level of debauchery that they have in Paris, right? 'Cause
Exactly.
It's you would not be able to do that back
exactly.
home.
Well, back then, yeah, exactly.
And they have the two guys kiss at the end, kind of.
That kiss was sus.
What do you mean sus?
It's the early 1920s, 30s movies kisses where they're just sucking each other's mouth. It's just too much mouth. Okay.
Keep going. I'm still not there yet.
He looked like a leech, sucking from his
Oh,
cheek.
it wasn't
it's
a
about-
cute kiss.
No, it wasn't cute in my opinion.
I don't think there was a lot of the same taboos around that sort of thing yet.
Fair.
You don't see that really until
They-
closer to the 50s is when you really start to see true gay panic.
Oh, I wasn't talking about being gay or anything. I was just talking
It was a gross
it was a
looking
gross
kiss.
looking kiss. I was
Yeah.
Ugh.
Another tiny little thing that I absolutely loved was when they're in training, they're in their barracks together, right after they squashed the beef, because they have the whole sequence of them hating each other in the comedy where he's doing jumping jacks on his hat and ruining it. And he's, hey, stop messing with my hat. But he keeps doing it. But then they fight it out and become best buds, which is so funny. But then they're in their tent together, they're chilling, and then another guy comes and he's like, I'm Corporal White. And
This scene.
yeah, it's so good. It's so good. He's like, I'm Corporal White and I fly the planes. And they're like, oh, cool, we want to fly the planes too. And he's like, I gotta go fly the planes. And then they're still in the scene. They have a very brief conversation, and then the ambulances all go by, and it's yeah, Corporal White died.
Well, they make a big fuss too right before that, where they have a whole argument where he's saying, "I don't carry anything with me for good luck."
Yes. Right. He's like, "Why do you have this stupid bear?"
Yeah, exactly. So he's like, "I don't read that," and then
it immediately dies.
It exists just to show. Yeah, it exists. He is the definitive exist to die character.
100%. I was like, are we
I knew he was gonna. He looked dead the moment. I mean, I was like, this man's about to die.
I was like, are we getting a fun new character?
Yeah.
No. He maybe I thought he would last at least till Europe. He didn't make it. He didn't make it through the practice run.
Yeah.
And then immediately they're like, guys, it's your turn. You gotta fly now.
Yeah. It was a very funny scene.
Speaking of funny scenes, I do want to shout out my goat, Herman Schwem. It was so funny. Just a little character, but just a little bit sprinkled within. I think he was used very well.
Like a little spice, like a little paprika.
Yeah, exactly. And it's so funny. And I actually liked this always enduring theme of immigrants. At the beginning, he's trying to sign up. He's trying to enlist himself. And they're like, Herman Schwem, what side are you on? Essentially. And he's like, I'm as American as you. And then he takes his shirt off. And then he gets punched and falls. But then he shows that he has an American flag tattooed on his bicep. We kind of talked about when we talked about the wiggling. But it's such a fun character.
It's fun, and it just reminded me, because I always think people in the every time I see pictures and stuff from people in the 1920s, they always look so serious and depressed. But these people had a sense of humor. They were obviously they're people, but it was just fun to see their sense of humor.
Yeah.
And all the physical comedy was really funny. I mean, just all of the dudes at the boot camp just rustling and tumbling each other just made me laugh because they look so dumb. It was just funny. But yeah,
I did realize that I kind of clocked that David. And I'm curious if you guys felt the same, that David would be the one to die. Because to your point, Jack was much less mature. He had more to learn. He had to be the one to carry that knowledge with him. Whereas David was much more smart and he was more put together. But they paid it off so well. It's one of those ones okay, I know where this is going, but the journey and the destination, really satisfying.
agreed. And the acting was just really great, honestly.
I would say so.
I think it
agree.
was great. I was just, again, I'm surprised because I've never seen a film from this era. So I was just a lot of it was really grounded. And yes, there were fake tears, but it still felt like I was locked in. Totally. Especially to David. I just really liked him, even as an actor too. At first I was he seems a little intense. But
it was the eyes.
It was the eyes that kind of creeped me out. But then I said,
well, you were saying the same thing, Drew, right?
So I recognize him from this movie, The Island of the Lost Souls. That is, honestly, I was not expecting to go into this movie and actually recognize someone from it. But that is a really good movie, and he just has such an intense face. He is. We were saying he's mocking. This guy is looks maxed.
He's looks maxing.
Yeah.
Got that jaw shave. Yeah. No, he was good. He's good. I think, those are all the main characters. It's funny that they have, I forget, Sylvia or whatever, and she was so irrelevant. Mm-hmm. She really did nothing. But, although I guess it was important that he had the picture of her.
And those songs.
I'm being generous.
Yeah.
So, okay. We can all agree. We really enjoyed this movie. So, looking at what else was nominated, I think that this is a year where I don't think any of us have seen any other movies that were nominated for Outstanding Feature. I have seen Sunrise, which won the Artistic Picture, which I guess if you're trying to port that to today, we could assume that all of the movies that were up for Outstanding and Artistic Feature would be merged into one Best Picture category. It's a really interesting group that was also nominated. There were, again, I'm looking at 2 categories. There were, say, 6 nominees, Wings, of course, being one of them. The second was Seventh Heaven, which is a love story. It's got a war backdrop. It was actually the big winner of the Oscars that year. It took home 3 of the Oscars, including Best Actress, which, again, Janet Gaynor split between, her time on that movie with 2 other movies. But it was also won Best Directing and Best Writing, which would be a huge upset today, right?
Yes.
Where like, oh, this movie lost director and screenplay, but it won picture. Wings itself won Outstanding Picture as well as Best Engineering, which kind of leads me to believe it was this technical showcase, like a Titanic, right?
So this is like F1 winning Best Picture.
No, it's not
kidding, I'm
that.
kidding.
It's not
I'm kidding.
that bad.
I'm totally kidding. I'm totally.
But it is like kind of in that more realm where it's like it would be a package today would be maybe, you know, production design, sound, visual effects, all that kind of stuff, where I'm actually very surprised Wings was not up for director because the direction is so good.
It's super good.
And it's super inspired and they
Yes.
did really cool stuff. So I was pretty shocked to see that. The other movies up for, again, an outstanding or artistic, one was The Racket, which was like this film noir about prohibition. And then Sunrise was the artistic film winner. The story on that one, it's been a long time since I've seen it, but it is a man in like a little small town. A woman from the city comes and is like, hey, drown your wife so we can be together. It's really dark. It was pretty entertaining. I would like to watch it again to be like, how does it stack up against Wings? But I did enjoy, I remember watching it and finding it very like surprising as well for the time. The other ones, the next one was called The Crowd. That was a slice of life, two people living in a large metropolis and how their lives intersect. And then the last one was called Chang. And that one was not what I would have expected. It is like a snapshot of the life of a farmer in North Siam.
That is the kind of movie I would watch.
Yeah. It's the kind of movie you get like made fun of, right? It's like, like you're a cinephile
I will
and you
actually
only
watch.
watch.
That sounds good.
I was curious on that one too, because I was like, Chang, what is that? But very kind of a weird, inspired pick. So kind of cool that they were like, you know, making those picks back then.
Yeah.
But again, like I said, this was something that was cut down. The short list was devised by like 25 people, and then they pushed that to 5 people who made the ultimate decision. So I'm guessing that it was more of a discussion rather than voting.
Yes, probably more of like a jury
Committee.
prize.
Yeah.
Like Khan, like the way Khan does it.
Totally. You had Douglas Fairbanks, Zorro himself as the
Yeah.
jury president, essentially.
I'm adding Chang to my watch list. So.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't really have an opinion on like, oh, what should have won this year. My only experience is Wings. I'd say watching it, I would agree that like feels like a pretty worthy winner.
It's valid.
I agree.
I'm Chang Hive already. So.
You've already switched. Like you're like, let's do it over again.
Yeah.
That one's only
The
like.
Academy is always snubbing international features.
Can you imagine though? Parasite, not the first one. It was Chang in
Chang.
1929. So we've talked about Best Picture, 50% of the podcast, but want to make sure we are carving out appropriate time to discuss Brainrot. So we're going to ask one question that relates. This one's a bit light, but the Brainrot I want to say for Wings is, say next year they have Amazon MGM, of course, announced that they're rebooting Wings. Who are the leads in that movie? Who are they casting?
I have 2 different takes.
Okay.
There's one that I want to see, and then there's one that I think how they would cast it today.
Yes.
The one that I want to see is Snoopy as Flying Ace. I want it to be all Snoopies, all different Snoopies.
Like like the animated feature.
Animated feature.
Okay.
Snoopies of Wings.
I really agree with this. Anything we say is not going to top that. That's like easily the best. Like anytime you're watching a Peanuts special, it's like this is the weird side quest that Snoopy has. That is the movie. It's World War I, Flying Ace. You know, like that's the whole movie.
That's the one that I personally just like want.
That's you want. Okay.
The one that I think would happen is Clara Bow. I think Mikey Madison could be her.
Okay.
She's got the same like magnetic charm from her as I kind of do
Okay.
Clara Bow.
Jack, you fucking dog! I know what you were doing in Paris.
Like honestly, she'd be like, "Come on, Like she knows. Like she would desperately pine for a guy. Like I've seen her do it before. She'll do it again.
Okay.
And then Sylvia, I was thinking Anya Taylor-Joy.
Okay. Like I said, a relevant character.
Okay,
but-
you hate that.
No,
I
big
just
eyes.
don't like-
It's big eyes, silent arrow. Like it makes sense.
Yeah.
That's
I don't.
good.
I just don't like the character of Sylvia. I mean, again, I see what purpose she serves, but she literally does nothing.
Yeah.
No.
You could be anybody.
And then Jack, I'm going for a younger cast. So
Okay.
like Jack to be across Mikey Madison is, how do I say his name? Louis Partridge.
Okay.
I think he's a solid actor. So Mary is Mikey Madison. Sylvia
Okay.
is Anya Taylor-Joy. Jack is Louis Partridge.
Okay.
David is, guess who? Harris Dickinson.
I love Harris Dickinson.
I love Harris Dickinson.
That's actually a great cast.
Right?
Like, that's a great casting.
You like that?
Was that your baby girl
That
voice?
was my baby girl. You like that?
But wait, there's more.
There's more. Oh,
Herman?
the Hermit. Oh, I didn't even think about Herman
Herman?
casting. Let me think.
Rob Schneider.
Ew. No.
What?
That was bad. That was bad. Take it back. Take it back.
I'm not taking him back. No way. Do we support him? No. Back in his
He can play any nationality.
back in his prime, I think Rob Schneider would totally. He does.
But he's not in his prime. We're talking about a movie that was rebooted.
You could just AI regenerate his face to be younger, and we could all forget.
There is no market for a Rob Schneider.
No, featuring Rob Schneider.
You don't really do that. That would be like a few years, like 10 years ago. That would be like, well, let's put Russell Brand in this. It's like that's sort of,
That's
just
what I'm
like,
saying. I like to have a fun something in there, so I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, why not Rob Schneider?
Okay, well, we're taking other options.
I stand on. I think most of your takes are good there.
So, okay, I'm gonna say my real one first. I didn't think so far as Herman Shrimp, so I'm gonna think on my feet. But my real one is I'm not gonna say this is what I would necessarily think or want. I think it's what they would do. So I think Clara Bow Mary would be Margaret Qualley.
I love Margaret Qualley.
I think she could do it. But David, well, would they do? No, I think David would be Glenn Powell, which
What?
I know. I know. But I see it. Like again, it's like, is this what I like want?
This is an easy Top Gun Maverick 1-to-1.
100%.
Like-
And then I would say that Miles Teller is Jack,
I was gonna say Miles
which I think
Teller
kind of like fits.
yeah, Miles Teller and what's his name? I'm looking him up right now. Dua Lipa's Mr. Lipa.
Oh,
Callum Turner.
Mr.
Callum
Lipa,
Turner.
Callum Turner.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
trying to take people who have not been in a flying movie and put them in a flying movie.
This is what I think.
Hollywood nowadays is
would.
not that creative.
Yeah.
they would literally go, has he been in a plane? Put him in it.
Who would be like my dream Herman, my goat, my king, my everything?
Stavros.
I mean, I kind of fit. I guess I don't know much about him. The only thing I've ever seen him in is Begonia.
He'd be doing his Baltimore accent the whole time.
Yeah, which kind of could fit. He's also got the name that he
Yeah.
could be. Well, actually, you know who it would be? It would probably be someone of like Latin descent. Because again, I actually like that part where he's like, "I'm as American as you," but I think they would lean into that, which means, who would it be?
Could be Zach Galifianakis, but he's kind of past his
He's
time.
not. That's not what I said.
I think I spaced out.
It'd be like Anthony Ramos, and it would not be.
Oh,
fun.
it
It would be
wouldn't
played.
be.
It would be
It
played
would- it
so
would be too
seriously.
serious.
It would be, yeah, exactly.
Because it's like we've forgotten how to inject fun
Yes.
into these movies. Like
Yes.
it's like it has to be serious and heady.
That's not true. I saw Nuremberg, and that was one of
Oh,
the funniest movies
no.
I've ever seen.
Oh my God, it's Herman Goring. said literally like Jesus Christ, it's Jason Bourne.
Yeah,
I love
there's still
that
an
moment,
appetite for that.
even though it's so bad.
Yeah.
But Sarah, listen to this. Here's the casting: Hudson Williams and Connor Story.
You stop right now.
Isn't that good? I thought that was what you were gonna say.
No, but I
Don't you love that?
I love that take.
Thought crossed my mind when I saw it, and I was like,
Oh yeah, right.
I'm not
Sure.
Literally, at that last scene, I'm like, all right, that's
Yeah.
where they were
The
going.
people would go,
good.
that's how you make $1 billion with a Wings reboot.
Honestly,
Wings
though.
100.
Wings.
Heated wings.
Wow.
Hot wings.
Hot Wings. Oh no. Oh man, that's like that could be a really niche SNL skit for us three and no one else.
No, like actually, that'd be so good.
Drew, who is your casting?
I mean, the only thing I thought of was the immediate Top Gun comparison. It's like that's exactly what they would do nowadays. Those are the exact archetypes you're dealing with. The what's his name, the David guy. Like that is your Glenn. He's got Glenn Powell face. Like
He does have Glenn Powell.
like-
That's why I thought of him.
Yeah.
Even though I don't think Glenn Powell really has that like vibe. Like
He's
I
not
think
brooding
David.
like that.
I think
No,
David,
we
he
don't
was
have that
brooding, He was
anymore.
stoic.
Yeah.
I struggled to find like a brooding male lead actor, which
Yeah.
Harris Dickinson is like one of the only ones who's doing that outside of like Jacob Elordi, who I'm like, I'm not
Yeah.
putting you in a movie.
That man's not fitting in a plane.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, true. It's a
Gigantor.
great point. So, the last bit, arguably the most important, since this is a podcast celebrating the Academy, which is rating art arbitrarily. It's our time to rate the art arbitrarily, using, of course, the Letterboxd 5-star system. So, would love to hear everyone's Letterboxd scores, which will go live after the episode.
Not the. He's teasing the drop.
I know. Me, I'm giving it 4 stars.
Same. I'm giving it 4 stars too.
Yeah. It's like easy for
No. Oh, look at this. Like, we need like a
heart. Or
noise.
no heart.
I see. I don't do heart, and that's only because I have never done hearts.
What's a heart? What is that?
You can
Like, you can rate something and then give a heart to it.
Why would you do that?
Well, they have the separate tab that is liked movies.
Why
but
do you
people,
do that?
people sort of use
So-
it as a like I want to edge out a little bit more than like a 3.5. It's like
or it's like I think from a technical perspective this is a 3.5 movie, but like I'm gonna give it a little bump.
Ew! Oh my God, the Letterboxd
Well,
politics
no,
actually make me cringe.
Well, and there are plenty
My
of
toes
people.
are curling.
There are plenty of people who also just don't want to rate, and they will just like them. They will like it if they
True.
like it. you
Yeah.
know? And it's just like an alternative way too. But
Yeah.
there is weird like inside minutia if you like with some people where they'll be like 3.5 plus a heart is basically a 4, but it's not quite.
Oh,
there.
I love
doing that? Who's
in
doing that?
Letterboxd.
Honestly, I'll do that sometimes.
I love in Letterboxd where people like in their bio they share
Yeah.
like a whole essay
They go-
about their rating criteria.
Yes, exactly. They go like
Shut up.
5-star plus heart equals goated. 5 stars equals legendary. 4 stars plus heart equals exemplary. 4 stars equal. It's like
Well,
There's a meaningful difference between.
yeah.
Get a job. Get a job.
Well, they just turned a 5-star system into a 10-star system. Is what they did.
It's true.
That's all they did.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just like, did I have fun? 3 stars.
Yeah. But the reason I don't do hearts, I would do hearts in a philosophical sense, but because I didn't start doing it, I'm not going to go back and heart everything I want to heart.
Okay.
And if I start doing it now, there's so much has been left unhearted.
You just don't want to mess up your log.
I don't want to mess up my log.
See, I don't think deep about it like at all. I'm just like, this is the thing that scares me about Letterboxd. Is this discussion, because it's like I want to use Letterboxd in like my own way to like remember what I thought of a movie or whatever, but like if this scares me because I'm like, what if I'm doing something wrong? Like I like commenting on things and being like, blah, blah, blah. But then it's like I don't ever see people really commenting on other people's stuff, and so I'm like, is
Everyone
that
does their own
okay?
thing, yeah.
Why can't I post a meme in response to something?
I think they do that on purpose because otherwise the reviews would be even more debased. It would just be people like
There's
spamming
some pretty
it
bad
legit.
ones. Probably there's like not enough people who have made meme reviews for wings.
I saw one that was like, this got gay really fast, thank God.
Yeah, but that's like half the
I was just
reviews
like-
on Letterboxd.
And I know they're like,
That's every.
Every review on Letterboxd.
well, that's what I'm saying.
I think there's some gay undertones here. It's like,
That's the only one that I could find that was like anywhere near that
Yeah.
area of whatever. Yeah. Wow.
Great. Well, we all agree, which is nice. It's a sweep.
We're in.
We
flow.
did
it's a
it.
pod sweep.
We did it.
We did it.
So, and finally, last category, a little bit of dessert for the listeners. Sarah, give us a hot take. Any hot take.
All right, I'll give my movie hot take.
Okay.
That I think that people who watch, and Adam, you'll appreciate this as our garbage disposal. Most movies to me is just like long form brain rot.
Elaborate.
I think that everything should be in moderation. But I think that most movies are bad. Most movies are unimportant. Most movies don't incite any kind of change in the world or do something important other than that it's just like an art and people are expressing themselves and telling stories and sharing stories. But like in the grand scheme of things, it is just, in my opinion, like
It's content.
it's content. Like
Yeah.
that's what it is. And because there's like an art around it, it's supposed to be like, no, but it's like actually important. But to me, it comes across as people who are like snobby about wine, snobby about cheese. They're like, this is the Chateau Marmont, and this is a blah blah blah. It's like this is a Kubrick, this is a blah, 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 and this is a Spielberg. It's like, to me, it gives the same vibes. Granted, I grew up with a family that wasn't like a movie watching family. We spent most of our time outside and doing things outside, and so movies were like, you like earn that after homework and you do it once on the weekend because you shouldn't be sitting staring at a TV for that long. That's just from my perspective. And I like to carry that because that's just me personally. But I do not, this is not me discriminating against people who watch movies as a hobby. I think everybody should have their hobbies. But I do think that it is long form brain rot because most of the movies out there are trash.
What isn't brain rot? Like, what's a non-brain rotted hobby then?
Hiking. Like,
A non-brain rot hobby, I
was-
think something active, like something that you're actively doing is not brain rot because you're focused on like coordination and health.
Sarah just calling me out.
I'm calling
Publicly.
everybody out.
this is just an anti-art take.
No, it's not. Absolutely not.
Well, I think it's actually a good question. Do you think that, because I agree with you,
Thank
that
you.
99% of movies are like unimportant and they're just kind of there, but is that a bad thing? Like,
I don't think
does
it's bad
that
that they
serve
exist.
does that serve a purpose?
I don't think it's like bad that they exist.
Yeah.
Bad movies are fun, but I think it's kind of like those, it's just kind of like junk food. What is that really doing for your
Oh,
brain? What is
yeah.
that really
You
doing
just don't
for
want
you?
people to be eating a sleeve of Oreos and saying, "Well, I had a vegan meal."
Yeah, like exactly. Being like, well, watching movies is a hobby, so I sat down and watched The Running Man this weekend just to watch it. It's like I just don't.
I
don't
watched
like,
every Nightmare on Elm Street
Literally.
this weekend,
And I'm
which
like-
actually is a great series.
But I just don't like. Here's the thing: I'm the anti-pretentious one. I don't like anybody who's snobby about anything. So when it comes to movies, I go. My take is that it's just long form brain rot. And some movies are really have been really important, but there's very few, if I'm being honest with you. Like ones that like, brought awareness to. I mean, just a lot of things. I'm not going to get into specifics because I don't have actually that much education on.
A movie can be good without being important, though.
Yes, exactly. But in the end, I do think they are long form brain rot.
There. Brain rot is something that we all have.
Absolutely. I have my own versions of brain rot. I watch Love Island. That's like 52 episodes in a summer. Talk about brain rot. I have my own versions. I just like corner it. I go, this is my brain rot time. And that's Love Island.
I have a lot of brain rot time. If we're saying movies are long form brain rot.
Yeah. That's my hot take.
Thank you, Sarah. We appreciate that.
Do you really?
Yes.
Thank you. I'm glad that you're not like coming for me. Like you're understanding
No.
of my take.
I get
Okay.
it.
Thank you. I feel safe here.
That's that. That's 1927. That's Wings. That's the beginning of Oscars. That's Hot Takes. And, we move on.
We move on to 19.
19. Well,
Oh.
the award was in 1930. We'll be talking next week about the Broadway Melody musical.
Ooh. I hate musicals, so this will be great.
Great. Can't wait to talk about it.
Can't wait to can't wait to have a like diametrically opposed view than you. But who knows? Maybe I'll be surprised. I'm evolving already. I can feel it.